Woo! From way downtown.
Man, sorry about that. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm your host, Armando Ortega. Welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Mando. Today, it just felt like a jazzy type of day, you know, a little smooth jazz when it comes down to the weather that is being brought to us here at sunny San Diego, which actually turned out to be very, very cloudy and rainy today. I'm not mad about it. I love the rain. San Diego is incredibly beautiful when the sun comes out, but when we go through a bit of rain, through a bit of fog, which we actually need here, it just makes it just makes the sun and the blue sky that much more beautiful when we finally get it. I know you're probably thinking, whoa, bro, another episode within the same week or a week's time frame. Yeah, surprise, huh? It's just I don't expect this to be a very long video, to be honest, for a couple of reasons. One, it's more of just an update of not an update, just to speak upon the topic I want to speak. I was saving this for like a few days from now, but a new update came out today, so I'm just like, yeah, why not just get it done. And two, that last episode I did, I was joking around saying like, this is only like, imagine this taking me like 5-6 hours to edit, and I was joking. No, it can't. It became a reality. 5 to 6 hours. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Well, I've never done a video like that where, you know, I played someone's video and responded to it piece by piece. In the end, I actually ended up skipping some of my responses because I'm like, yeah, this is too much. But yeah, so I'm just like, let me take a break from doing that type of style. Maybe I get big enough and I get an editor, I could probably put it off on them or anything. Well, anyways, I hope everybody's doing great today, wherever you are. Sunny, rain, shine, wherever, you know. Like I said, it's been raining a lot today, and I really, really enjoy it. Love this weather, but, you know, it shouldn't last much longer. Well, anyways, the thing I wanted to talk about was the thing that started making national headlines throughout our entire country, rightfully so, because of how terrible it was. And that has to do with, it's been topic being done to death, the 5 Memphis police officers who were fired, and like 2 weeks later, 20 days later, after their firing date, were finally arrested and charged with, I believe, 2nd-degree murder for, let me get his name. I think his name is Tyre Nicholes. Yeah, Tyre Nicholes, over in Memphis. So what had happened, just a brief thing. Basically, police officers tried to take out Tyre Nicholes from his car. The first officer to make contact claimed that Nicholes was driving very recklessly and swerved into him and everything. Whether he hit him or not, I don't believe he did, but I'll correct it if I need to. But essentially, he was pulling him out of the car. Oh, what? Oh, my package just got here. Oh my God, is that what my lady messaged me for? I'm sorry, this is such a side note. I ordered some stuff last week. Oh, this is so sick. It's probably in the mailbox. I ordered some stuff last week, and it looks like it just got here, which is funny because it was about to be it was supposed to get here on the 1st, but I guess not. Sorry. Well, anyways, what I was saying was this. So Tyre Nicholes, the police officer said that he was driving erratically and was putting, made him stop and try to get him out of the car, and things escalated very quickly. Well, yeah. Well, the gist of it was Tyre Nicholes, I'm just going to say him Nicholes, was pulled out of his car, was very roughly manhandled, and it got to the point where those 5 police officers beat him to death. Well, almost to death. The thing is, Nicholes survived the initial beating and went to the hospital. 3 days later, he subdued to his injuries and passed away and everything. A lot of people were saying this is what was that? What was that one beating that the police did in LA back in like the 70s, the 80s? I'm sorry. I should have searched this up. And you hear my cat in the background. Rodney King. Man, now there it is. So some people were comparing the severity of his injuries and the severity of how the police handled it to that of Rodney King. Everybody knows that Rodney King was beaten to death in LA by the LAPD and everything back in 1991. Wow, damn, I overshot it like crazy for how far back I thought it was. 1991, and it's none of the police officers were ever convicted of his death. And a lot of people, even to this day, are rubbed the wrong way about it. Well, there are reports saying that this is just as severe as that. So here's the thing. There's a lot of distrust in law enforcement and the police department, and from certain aspects and certain people's lived experiences, that is very, very justified. I'm not going to say they're perfect. They can't do wrong, because there's episodes in the past, I'll try and put them up, where I spoke about police officers not acting the way they should and actually, being in trouble. I'll try and put them up if I can find them. But there were a fair amount of episodes back, like a few months back. Well, it's not perfect. And those officers who act beyond the law, they should get what's coming to them. I said it in the past and I'll say it now. The thing is this, it happened by Memphis police. All those police officers that beat this man, who beat Nicholes, which Nicholes died just 3 days later, were all fired from their jobs, pending investigation, So they were fired, stripped from their power from being peace officers. They were now private citizens. About either 2 weeks or 20 days later, they were formally arrested, and charged with second-degree murder of Mr. Nicholes. All 5 of them. So that made national headlines and everything. The thing is this. I know that a lot of situations like this happen that garner this much headlines. It typically gains traction because people go like, oh, look, let's bring race into this. How we just touched upon it last episode. It's like, let's bring race into this. And so they do. They bring race into it. But here's the problem. It's typically of a white officer against a minority. This time it was 5 black officers beating a black civilian. So now you have 5 officers of the same race beating somebody of the same race and sending him to the hospital where he died 3 days later. How are you going to make this about race? You can try and spin it like, oh, pro cop, just power tripping, this and that. But the power tripping aspect has been done to death. We know that because a lot of the times when police get brought up into a dirty light, it's more, the thing that grabs headlines more is the race part, not the power tripping part. So you can't chalk it up to race. You can't just default to what people do nowadays and say, hey, it was fueled by racism, by bigotry or anything. You could only do power tripping, but that's not interesting anymore, at least from what I've seen. So I remember talking about this to a couple of coworkers. We were talking about the news and everything, and I remember going, this is horrible. See what's gonna happen to them. But something tells me that somehow this is gonna be made about race. I don't know how. I don't know what's gonna happen, but somehow this is gonna be made about race. Today, January 30th of 2023, I've been proven right. And it's kind of a bittersweet thing. It's sweet because I'm right, but it's bitter because I'm right, which means that there are people out there who will try and look at anything through the lenses of race, and instead of looking at things through the lenses of humans doing horrible things onto other humans, Well, anyways, so what I'm saying is this. So did they bring it to the other one? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is this. I'm gonna go back to our good friend, our newly made friend, Mr. Willie D Live. Look. Before I start with this, I just want to say this. I don't dislike Willie or his videos. Honestly, I'm fairly new to watching this stuff. There are videos that he makes. I noticed that he puts out multiple videos a day, all stemming from like 6 minutes to like maybe 10 minutes or around that area, which isn't too difficult, especially since it's no cuts, no edits, nothing like that. It's fairly simple to do, and he has a huge following, which, a lot of people hear his stuff, and I'm one of those people, and there's a lot of people who agree with him and stuff. And there's certain videos that, I also agree with and everything. So I'm not doing this as, hey, this guy is foolish, don't listen to him. No, I'm doing this as, you got some good points in certain topics, but I feel like there's other topics you could benefit from being informed about a bit more of how things work, because we all have opinions about everything, but we're not always right about everything. Well, anyways, Mr. Willie D Live, he came out with a video today. I believe it was today. Let me see. I pulled it up on my phone. 1 second, guys. It's a beauty of a podcast. Just raw takes, Oh, come on. Oh, here it is. Yesterday, 29th. So he didn't have the current information when he was making this video. But, he kind of did. Because, he's talking regarding the body cam footage, which was released. And, if you just watch the body cam footage, you'd be able to, see what really happened. Well, anyways, what had happened was people were up in arms about this because the 5 police officers who beat Mr. Nicholes, they were all fired. Investigation was done. They were all formally arrested and charged with second-degree murder. But the problem was that there was a 6th officer there that a lot of people don't seem to talk about until recently, until yesterday, I think. There was a 6th police officer there. And he wasn't charged with anything. At least not from when this video was done. He wasn't charged with anything. He was fired also, but he wasn't charged with anything. Why? Well, because he was white. That's why they didn't charge him with the murder of Mr. Nicholes. Excuse me. Oh man, that was loud. That's why. No, he wasn't not charged because he was white. There's a lot of things that have to go. I know a lot of people get annoyed by hearing, especially when it comes down to law enforcement. It's like when they do something that seems shady or the public deems shady and everything like that, the police department either suspends them, makes them have a leave of absence with pay, yada yada. Which people say oh, it's a vacation. They just gave them a vacation. It's like they're on leave pending investigation and everything like that. how do you say it? So a lot of people get really upset at that and get really annoyed because they're like, we want results. We want stuff done now, yada, yada. You know, there's evidence right there. Just do it right now, you know? But the problem is this. With the 5 Memphis police officers who beat Nicholes, put him in the hospital, where Nicholes later died 3 days later, they were given, like I said, 14 to 20 days of just being out in the free world. Yeah, they were fired, but they were out for about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks in the free world. And before they even got arrested. Why? Because as all the evidence shows, all 5 of them were, hi Kiwi, how are you, girl? All 5 of them participated in beating Nicholes that night on January 7th. This other police officer, the 6th one, that's a lot of people are saying the reason he was only fired and not charged is because of racism, was because the body cam showed it. All right. So as Mr. King says, Mr. King, getting everybody's name is confused. As Mr. Willie D. Live says, he was tased multiple times.
But what is also evident is a white officer who tases Tyre several times.
He wasn't tased multiple times. A taser was deployed once. And here's how I know. I watched the video. No. So basically what was happening is this from the beginning. We see 4 body cam footage released. We have 3 of the black officers. We have 1 of the white officer. The way the videos start off is the white officer rolling up to the situation. All he knows at that point, because believe me, we as in humans do not have superpowers. So there's no way to possibly know exactly 100% what has happened throughout an intense contact that one of your partners do. So this white officer rolls up to the scene, and from what you see in the footage is one of the black officers walking up to Mr. Nicholes' car and opening the door and grabbing him to pull him out. This is what the white officer is rolling into. This is what he's seeing as he's rolling up to the situation. Okay, so this is all he knows. My partner is pulling this guy out. I need to go help him pull this guy out because he's arresting him for a reason. He's doing this use of force for a reason. I will admit, the language has been aggressive from the start.
Damn, do anything. Hey, I didn't turn around. All right. On the ground. Hey, you don't do that, okay? Get on the ground.
Like, I get it. Tempers flare. Things just inside of you. You're so irritated and angry. How dare this person just not listen to me when they have to? It's so simple. I get it. But that doesn't mean it's correct. So I will admit the language was very intense, was very, hey, relax, dude. I get it. You're angry. Relax. There's better ways of doing stuff. So that happened. So it was just the 2 of them from that point, at least from what I was able to see from the multiple viewings that I've seen from that angle. So what had happened was, once they start pulling him out, Mr. Nicholes like, I didn't do anything. They pull him out, and you have more officers coming in to help and everything. The white officer, from what we've seen, is the only officer that had his taser out. And now Mr. Willie, like I said in last episode, I told you how tasers work, and I had one of my viewers, my buddy, comment on the video, and he made a good point. Right now, I'm going to be referring to what I said about the Walmart hostage taker. Remember when I was telling you, if you're listening to this, about how tasers work that you need both prongs, that once you shoot them, they spread out and they have to make contact with your body in order for you to be stunned. Well, what happens is when you get tased and it makes a good connection with you, your muscles contract and everything. So they squeeze up, which is why when you see people get tased, their arms kind of want to curl up into their body. The rest of their limbs kind of want to curl up in their body if they're not already locked stiff. And you fall down. You can't brace your fall or anything because your muscles are contracting.
Hit him, shoot me, fool!
Jaime, we're not gonna hurt you. Jaime, we're not gonna hurt you.
Hey, why is it just 2 units? Because they're gonna turn the end!
Go that way, go that way. Huh?
Why are you guys...
You done? Turn on your gut now! Turn on your gut! Turn on your gut! Turn around!
Drop the knife. You said daughter, drop the knife. You said daughter, drop the knife. Mom, drop it.
Drop the knife now. Drop the knife.
So in that still image that I showed, where I asked, can you see the woman with the gun and her hostage? No, you can't, right? We don't know what happened that point onward. We don't know if she pointed the gun at the woman during that time that we couldn't see her. Here's the thing. Yeah, just like you said, she kept her arms to the side and everything facing the opposite direction. It's very, very possible that she didn't do that. That she stayed doing that, that she never pointed the gun at the hostage. It's very possible. But it's also very possible that she pointed the gun at the cops. It's also very possible that she pointed the gun at the hostage to be taken more seriously, which is, the only reason I say that is because you see that she is luring the hostage away from the police and is still using her as leverage. Well, anyways, had that woman, because I don't know her trigger discipline, had that woman kept her finger on the trigger this entire time, if one of the police officers did shoot her with a taser and did make a solid connection, guess what? Her muscles will contract. Guess what you have in your finger? Muscle. So your finger is going to contract with the rest of your body, and if her finger was on the trigger, that gun was going off. There's a lot of factors. So same thing with this. How do you say it? The officer had a taser out. That is true. All of that is true. You can see it all there in the body cam footage. And this is the only white officer that was there at that point. So you see the officer with the taser on his left hand. Do you know what a drive stun is, Willie? A drive stun is when you take the cartridge out and two arches are exposed that shoot electricity to each other.
Taser, taser. There you go.
That won't stiffen up your muscles. It will just hurt a lot, because I had stun guns that did that and it hurts a lot. So in order to use that, you have to take the cartridge out. In that entire video, you never see the officer take the cartridge out ever. I believe he had a, what do you have? Not an, I don't know. I gotta look up what he had. Well, anyways, he had to take that cartridge off in order to, it's most likely an X2, but he had to take that cartridge off in order to drive stun Mr. Nicholes. He never took that cartridge off, meaning drive stunning Mr. Nicholes was not an option. The only option at that point was to shoot him with a taser. After Mr. Nicholes was able to get up and run, that's when the white officer shot his taser.
Oh, man, if you don't lay down, I am on the ground. Put your stomach. Sorry. Okay. Stop! I'm not doing it.
His taser did not make a good connection. How do we know that? Because as you see Nicholes run away, you see him taking off his shirt, which means and Mr. Nicholes was not a big guy. He was very skinny, meaning that shirt most likely had a lot of slack to it. And remember last episode I told you, hey, if one of the prongs get like caught on something like clothing, you're not going to get stunned.
19 PD.
Get away from me, Essen.
Stop. Stop. 19 PD shots fired. 19 PD shots fired. 19 PD, I'm not sure where he went. I might have been hit.
So honestly, even if one of the prongs made connection with Mr. Nicholes while he was running away when that white officer shot that taser at him, it did absolutely nothing. So your whole, he was stunned. He was tased multiple times. No, he wasn't. The video shows it. Watch the video before you start making claims. He was attempted to be tased one time, and it was in a successful deployment. It was not a successful contact of the taser prongs. Therefore, he managed to keep running, as we saw in the video. Yeah, the white officer gave chase. The other officers gave chase. The other officers in their vehicle gave chase to Mr. Nicholes. The white officer, after a few steps or a few feet or whatever, stopped and went back to his own vehicle and stayed with Mr. Nicholes' car. You can see that. Yeah, he started giving other directions to his partners, going like, oh, he went that way, this is that, and started describing him and everything, what he was wearing, his skin and everything. But then he went back. And that's when the white officer said, man, I hope they stomp his ass out. And I get it. That's screwed up to say. That is. It's like, there's no excuse for it. Like, you say that stuff if you're just really angry, you know? You know how Mr. Willie or anybody else listening to this, if you have a partner with you, guy or girl, I don't judge, and you're starting to argue with them and everything like that, you tend to say stuff in order to hurt their feelings. And that's usually how arguments work. You say stuff to hurt the person you're arguing with feeling, whether in person, whether on the internet, whether on the phone, whatever, you know? And that's just how it works. You don't say stuff to hurt their feelings because something just got over you and you couldn't control yourself. You didn't mean it. No, you say stuff that you already had in your mind. That's just the truth of it, you know? Like I said before, when it comes down to like, especially alcohol doesn't make you say things you would never say. It makes it easier to say the things that you've been wanting to say all along. You never heard of that saying, liquid courage? Yeah, that's usually what it is with alcohol. You find it gives you the courage to say or do the things you've wanted to say or do all along. Well, anyways, that's why I believe that what he said, I feel like he meant it. 100%, I feel like he meant it. You could argue later off being like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. It was the heat of the moment. Doesn't matter. You meant to say it. But you also got to remember, saying even stuff like that are horrible, saying stuff is not illegal. It's not. He didn't have the means to stomp him out anymore when he said it. The guy was long gone. The other officers were chasing him. Was it messed up? Yeah. Was it illegal? No, it wasn't. Well, anyways, he stayed there, and that's when the body cam cut off. Because I'm assuming at this point, the only reason I'm saying this is because I know it's procedure, is to secure your own vehicle, secure the suspect's vehicle, and maybe begin searching it. Because now you have probable cause. Dude just ran away and everything like that. I know a lot of people are probably going like, oh, but like, why did you feel the need? This is so aggressive. He was on the floor already, this and that. Passively resisting isn't... A lot of people think resisting arrest entails, you know, how do you say it? Actively fighting. Like throwing punches, kicks, knees, elbows, spitting, biting, headbutting, and everything like that. There's passive resisting, which usually entails of, I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to pull... Oh, wait. No, yeah. I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to try and cause you physical harm, but I'm going to tense up and not let you do what you're telling me to do, you know? And that's exactly what was happening initially. The reason I say that is because back from the beginning, we can see in the body cam that Mr. Nicholes was still in his car. We see when the door gets flown open. We see when he gets grabbed and comes out. And at that point, like I said, there was only 2 officers from what the body cam showed. So Mr. Nicholes being on the ground, they're telling him, get on your stomach. And Mr. Nicholes is staying on his side. And he's like, I'm already on the ground. It's like, cool, get on your stomach. He's like, but I'm on the ground. It's like, get on your stomach. You see how that goes? He's not punching, he's not kicking, but he's also just not doing what they're telling him to do. That is a form of resisting. That's just how it works, anywhere. Well, anyways, so like I said, after he takes off and the other officers give chase and everything like that, the only white police officer that Mr. Willie claims tased him multiple times, despite the video showing us he only deployed it once and it was unsuccessful, he stayed back with Nicholes's car. And that was it. Body cam cuts because that officer is no longer involved. So now the other body cam and street footage shows the 5 officers catching up to Nicholes, taking him down and starting to hit him and spray him and all this stuff. And I can tell that they are very emotionally driven. Here's the thing that I noticed also. And like I said, this video isn't to be like, oh, they can't do any wrong. It's just laying out exactly the facts that were shown to all of us, From what I've seen, the way they were acting when it came down to hearing the audio and visuals of the body cam footage, and also seeing the footage from the street view and everything, is honestly, if you took off the uniform and just gave them regular street clothes, I would think it was a gang jumping some dude. The way they were talking, the way they were moving, the actions they were taking, I 100%, if they weren't in uniform, would have believed that was a gang attack. Because that's just how it looked. That's just how it sounded. And it was horrible. Hell, one officer tried to spray Nicholes, and he ended up spraying himself. And before anybody says anything, yes, that is possible, because I made fun of one dude because that's essentially what he did to himself. Well, anyways, and he got mad. And when he got mad and went out and tried to assess himself and everything, guess what he did? He walked back, deployed his baton. He's like, oh, let me get a piece of him, this and that, Another officer kicked Nicholes while he was on the ground and then was waiting to kick him again. And it's terrible, And it's just like, not one of them had the sense of being like, hey, we're all up on him. Let's not hit him. Let's just have him put his hands behind his back. Yes, and here's the thing. It's not that simple. But there's procedures to take before you start striking somebody. Open hand strikes, closed hand strikes. But none of that excuses kicking someone's head in when they're already on the floor. None of that excuses taking out your baton to beat some dude when he's already on the floor. This guy is resisting, yes, but he's not fighting you, That's the difference. It's a lot of different things going on there. I know I've been in multiple arrest situations where I was arresting somebody actively resisting, passively resisting, but not throwing a single hit. At no point did I feel the need to take out my baton and beat this guy. At no point did I feel the need to kick this guy in the head because he wasn't putting his hands behind his back. At no point did I ever see any of my partners helping me out going, hey, let's just beat this dude, Because that's not correct. That's not right. We want this guy to be arrested because he needs to be arrested, but we're not going to beat this guy to a bloody pulp to get our results, if that makes sense. Well, that's what happened. Of course, the guy, they finally get him in cuffs. EMS is called, backup is called, everything like that. He goes to the hospital. He dies 3 days later, and it's terrible. So what did we learn about this? What I just broke down and what we could see in the body cam footage is this. The one police officer was there that had a unsuccessful deployment of his taser, unsuccessful contact with his taser towards Mr. Nicholes. The one police officer, people are outraged that he is in charge of anything. That police officer did not participate in the beatings. He wasn't there beating Nicholes like those other 5 police officers. He tried to help arrest this guy, initially tried to tase him when Mr. Nicholes got up and tried to run away, and stayed back with the car. And that's it. He never participated in beating Nicholes to death. So that's what you got to look at. Those are things like that you have to look at. Because you can't let like your agendas and your motivation of just everybody's racist against minorities. It doesn't matter if you're a minority and a cop. They won't have your back. This, and that. It's like you got to look at the facts. Did the white cop, was he there beating Nicholes when they caught up to him? No, he wasn't. Did he tase Nicholes multiple times? No, he didn't. Who did it? The other officers. Who's arrested right now? The other officers. Who are being charged with second-degree murder? The other officers. The white officer, and here's the update that came out today, which is why I'm doing this video today. The other white officer, he was fired. He was fired, but he wasn't charged of anything. Why? Because he didn't participate in beating Mr. Nicholes to death. He wasn't there for that. He was there with Mr. Nicholes' car like he needed to be because he was the one capable of doing that. But he still got fired. Who knows if they're going to reprimand him? Who knows? I mean, he's already fired. But who knows if they're going to charge him for anything? But honestly, even if they do charge him for something, I don't see him being charged with second-degree murder. I don't see him being charged with involuntary manslaughter. I don't see him being charged for anything that level of severity. It's the thing that we need to look for. I say in the past, context matters, which is why I was waiting so long to talk about this topic. But at the same time, it's like, now that we got an update of this one officer that people were crying what was benefiting from white privilege, why it's all racist and everything, even though it was people of the same race. I just felt the need to do this. And our best friend, Mr. Willie D Live, he made a video about it yesterday, and I was just like, I don't think you got all the facts, my guy. And you're kind of spinning this like you did with that Walmart woman. You're kind of spinning this to be very anti-minority, anti-black type of situation, when in reality it was not. People saw injustices, and people had the police department and the officers held up to the standards that they needed to be held up to. And now everybody's preaching, hey, we need to hold officers doing police brutality and all these heinous acts responsible. They're being held responsible, and it's still not enough for people, especially when it comes down to people who don't want to look at the facts that are plain and simple, that are right there laid out right in front of us for all of us to see. Well, that's just my take. If I have more, I'll update in the future episode. Just one question. If any of you guys want to engage with this, I'll leave you with this. It's nothing to do with the cops or anything. Let's say you're on a date, or you're going out with a date with somebody that you really liked, you know. And when you go on a date and you meet up with them, or however your arrangements are, you find out that your date couldn't find a babysitter for their child, so they brought their child, let's say they're like 2-3 years old, with them to the date with you. Would you say that's inappropriate, or you don't want to be there in that date anymore because it was just supposed to be for you and them, or you don't mind? You're like, that's cool. I mean, you couldn't find anybody. That's fine. We can still have fun. What's my answer? Me personally, I feel like both sides can be justifiable as long as you know how to, respond and handle the situation. I get it. If you wanted just the date to be you and them and everything, to get to know them, that'd be awesome, because some people aren't ready for like immediately get thrown into like a situation of like seeing you as a parent. They just want to know you as a person. I totally get it, as long as you're not loud and obnoxious and rude about it. But in the other end, I also get it. If you don't care if they have a kid, awesome, bonus. Just some stuff I saw online, it was kind of interesting in my mind. Well, yeah, that was about it. Like I said, it's going to be a short episode. I don't expect this to be longer than 42 minutes. I don't know. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you guys take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And I'll see you next time on another episode of The Mind of Mando. See ya.
The racist white dudes especially, who come out and do the job with the intent on violating black people, wake up and go to sleep and proud of it, look forward to it, even before they ever become a police officer. They fantasize, many of them fantasize while they're in elementary school, beating on black people.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.